What's going on, guys? And welcome back to another episode of the Covenant Podcast. We have some exciting guests today. We've done a testimony on Amber before, and we have Brooke as well. They both work at the Potter's House, and they're here just to kind of tell us a little bit about that and just the great things that God did in their lives. Mike.
Yes.
What's our first question, or do you have anything to add?
Well, I just wanted to thank them for being here. They were a little nervous because we always we try to tell them when we start these things that we mess up all the time, and that it's just us family members here. But I know Amber's story, but I'm interested in hearing Brooke's, and we're just excited. Number one, about them being here, but our church gets to some degree sponsor or help with the ministry that they both work in mainly because of Amber's testimony and what God's done in her life, and so we're just excited to hear a little more about the Potter's House today.
Yeah.
So everybody can know a little bit what's going on there. But even more than that, just exciting to see what God's done in their life in general and hear a little of their story. So I'm excited because even though I've known Amber for a long, long time, how long you been here?
Like 4 years.
4 years. I'm just meeting Brooke today, so I'm excited to hear her story as well.
So Amber, if you want to start us off, just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So my name's Amber, and I go to church here at Covenant with my husband and my two children, Hayes and Anson. And I work at the Potter's House. I'm the administrative director there at the Potter's House. We're a treatment home for women in addiction and really a discipleship home through treating addiction. But me personally, I went through the Potter's House. I went through the program myself after struggling with heroin addiction. I was in addiction for about 5 years. And for me, that looked like, full-blown addiction, being homeless at points, just doing anything I could to survive. Every day I woke up and my mind just ran to, what do I have to do next to get money? What do I have to do next to feed this addiction? I was in and out of jail, in and out of methadone treatment centers, Suboxone treatment. I tried everything that I could just to feel that emptiness that was inside of me, to no avail before coming to know Jesus.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's already been good.
So Brooke, what about you?
Well, my name is Brooke. I'm 31 years old, and I grew up in a family that took me to church 3 days a week, and I knew the Lord at a young age. But when I got to be a teenager, I just kind of walked away from him, and I started dabbling in alcohol and marijuana. And then when opiates, when I tried opiates, I got very addicted very fast to pain pills. And then from there, it moved to heroin, and then from there, it moved to meth. And my story's a lot like Amber's. I spent a lot of time in jail, a lot of time in secular treatment programs. Before I came to the Potter's House, I had been to 8 different treatment programs, 30-day programs, 90-day programs, but nothing really worked for me. And I was just full of so much shame, and so much guilt. Because I knew that wasn't the life that I was ever called to live. And at times I was homeless, sleeping in motel rooms, just sleeping with men just to have some food or a place to lay my head. And the last time I went to jail was in Gastonia County, and I heard about the Potter's House. And I think at that point, I was finally at a point of surrender. I just had a really serious overdose and on heroin, and my mom told me that when I told her about the overdose, when I called her from jail, that she was in church on a Sunday night, and that she just started praying and doing warfare and binding up the spirit of addiction over me. And she didn't know why she was doing it, but that was when I was overdosing. And when she told me that, it really got my mind thinking that there's got to be a reason that the Lord saved me. And there's this God that I knew when I was a child, but didn't really know has got to be real. So that was my point of surrender before coming to the Potter's House.
And so you went to the Potter's House right after that. Did you get out of jail and then
I
just
came
go there?
Straight from jail.
Really?
Yep. no clothes, not a penny of money, nothing to my name. Just all I had was willingness, and that's all.
Mhm.
That's all God asked from us is just willingness.
So what kind of plan is it at the Potter's house? Like what all does that entail? Like if someone comes up just like she did, how long ago was that?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. What would she be looking at, I guess?
So it's pretty interesting too with Brooke's story. We had started a program where we were really seeking people. We as a staff had a call for people that were in jail on our lives. We wanted to go help them. So we started, Brooke was the first one. We sent an application into the jail. We were kind of panning through the Gaston County website and going, these are inmates.
Looking at
they have drug charges and we want to help you.
Yeah.
So we sent them in and the process worked with her. And she was the first one that took the application and kind of ran with it. And she came back into the program. So what we do though, so when they come into the program, it's 18 months and we let everybody know up front, like, this is not a 30-day thing. This is a real commitment. This is a real change. And that's what we look for. Each applicant goes through an interview process. So it says like, where are you at? What do you want? What are your goals? What does change look like for you? And then when they get in there, we begin to not only treat addiction, but really disciple them and really begin to teach them about the love of Jesus and that what that truth looks like, that honesty of calling them on their flaws, just like I was called on my flaws when I was in there. And these are the things you've got to work on, but also coming at it from a point of grace. Jesus loves you. This is where we know where you came from. We came from there too. And look what he's bringing you through. He has a bigger purpose for your life, and continuing to remind them of that along the way. And so through different classes, different applications of parenting classes and Bible studies and teaching them how to go back out into the community and volunteer. That's how we kind of do those practical things and combine that with the word and begin to help change lives and make it.
How long does it take you? I know it's probably different for everybody. How long did it take you guys before you knew I'm gonna make it now? I'm gonna survive life now. Because I mean, when you go in, you got to be thinking you've been that close to death a number of times. You know.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to like over that hump of like, I think I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna actually quit doing drugs. You know.
I think it was, for me, it was around the 6-month mark where I kind of like started seeing like, I have this thing like, and I guess this is joy, but I've never experienced this before. But I'm like laughing and not at dumb stuff. Like this is exactly. Like I'm like enjoying being in other people's company sober.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what that looks like until so I got there and I was like, man, and then it begins to feel like home. Like even when I would go on my home visits and get to spend time with my family, I would look forward to coming back to Potter's house because like that's my safe haven.
Well, they understood too.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you went in?
I was 26 when I went in.
Okay. Well,
I was 27.
You were on that same 6-month program. I mean, like, you were on 18th month program, but like, how long did it take you before you felt like?
I think 6 months.
You start feeling again. Actually, is that what you're saying? I mean,
it's like you're frozen for so long. You know, when you're just like masking the pain, just of whatever, you know, someone's been through, whatever traumas they've been through, they're masking it with drugs. And then when you get sober, it's like you're defrosting for so long. But, you know, it's just, you have to have a made up mind. You know, like I was told there's certain things in your life in this process that have to be like not negotiable. You have to be ready for true change. And regardless of why somebody comes there, the Lord meets everybody where they're at and starts changing, you know, your mind and the way you think. And, you know, we have praise and worship every morning. And that's where I feel like the Lord really worked on my heart, was during just my own time with him, you know, and it's such a difference from what I was raised with as far as like religion and, you know, you have to do this on Sundays, you have to wear this, you know, at Potter's house, it's just all about a relationship with Jesus and it's individualized treatment. It's not like a one size fits all. And it's great.
That's good.
It changed my life.
So how did the Potter's house even happen? I mean, who thought of the Potter's house? I mean, where did that come from?
Yeah. So the founder, Cindy Marshall, she's the founder and executive director there. She actually went through a number of secular treatment programs herself in the 80s, and finally came to a Christian based treatment center where she met the Lord and she met Jesus. And he, I mean, radically just transformed her life. And so he began to give her this vision. She said she would wake up in the middle of the night. She would have these dreams of women in prison and getting out of prison and having nowhere to go and just being hopeless and wanting to change, but not be able to. And she said these would wake her up in the middle of the night. And she knew God had put a calling on her life, but she didn't know exactly what that looked like. So over a period of years, she just began to pray about it, and the vision became a reality in Ranlow with pastors in the area, kind of helped her get it off the ground. And it started just in a little house that's still on the property. We call it the Life Share Building. And I remember her telling me, she said there's like 10 to 12 girls in this little house and they would just be stacked in bunk beds in the beginning. But she was just willing to be used of Jesus and wanting to help people.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff.
Man, yeah. One thing that kind of stuck out to me is you said you went through 8 different ones. So what do you think makes the Potter House different than, I mean, is it because it's longer?
It's just because it's Jesus.
That's
the only thing that was different about it, you know, because I really had, you know, like Amber, I'd really tried everything the world says is the answer to addiction, especially opiate addiction, you know, the methadone, the Suboxone, all the maintenance medications. I'd gotten this injection called Vivitrol that's like an opioid blocker, AANA, you know, just halfway houses, detox. I tried everything, you know, and it's like it was like a God-shaped hole I was always trying to fill. You know, so that is the only difference, because I had the willingness the other times. I mean, I really hated myself. I didn't want to keep living like that. It's not like that's fun, you know, being an addict and have your family be disappointed in you all the time. And but yeah, that's the biggest difference, I think, is just that it's Jesus, and that I was taught there that about spiritual warfare, you know, and that addiction is it's a spirit, that our enemy's not necessarily a drug. Our enemy is the devil, and you know that he uses drugs to steal, kill, and destroy. So learning how to fight that is the biggest thing, and that's what we teach the girls. We teach them how to fight that and how to trust the Lord and stop trying on their own, because you can't do it without him.
And what's your role there at the Potter's House?
A residential counselor.
And you got saved there then at the Potter's House?
Yeah, I definitely think I got legit saved there.
Okay, yeah.
That's awesome stuff.
Yeah. How many people do you have there now?
Right now we have 5 girls in the program, and generally we have anywhere from 7 to 11 girls at a time in the program.
So how do you find them now?
So
you still go to applications at the jail?
So with COVID, it has made it really difficult, because we can't, like, used to, we would be able to go into the detox centers and talk to people. And Brooke really helped get that off the ground, to go in there and be able to minister to those people and give them applications to come in. But we're still doing what we can to send in the applications and still putting the word out there. We're just having to get more creative with it.
I can't imagine how happy your parents are. I mean, like, you know, you start thinking about how many nights they spent wondering where you were, and now the joy. I mean, we should bring them in, you know, because I can't imagine the joy of being because I'm a dad with 3 daughters, you know, and by God's grace, we've all made our mistakes as I did as well. But to not know, I guarantee your parents not knowing where y'all were sometimes would be like crazy pain. And so anyway, I don't know why. That's not really a question. That was just me thinking out loud. I was like thinking as a dad, you know, like, my gosh, you know, knowing where you are now, what you're doing, what y'all are standing for now, and that y'all are helping walk other people's daughters out of this. It's just like emotional to me. It's like, it's so awesome. So thank y'all for that, number one. But I know you probably got some more questions, but I had that in my head. So for the viewer and stuff, and we can get back to some of this, what can they do to like support the Potter's House and support the stuff that you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we've got a couple different things. One thing is to be able to sponsor a girl to come in. A lot of times when women come in, they don't have any way, they have no financial means, no support, no family support. So to be able to say, like, we want to help, we want to sponsor someone through the program would be an awesome way. Also, just some practical things. When girls graduate, they start to look for a house to rent or a house to buy or something like that. So if you have rental houses and you go, I'm willing to give this person a chance, and we'll, not send you somebody that we wouldn't stand by. But, or if you own a small business and you go like, hey, this girl needs a job, I'm willing to give her a chance. Things like that, those practical things. And then also just we always tell everybody, if you use it at your house, we use it too, just 20 times more. Like toilet paper and paper towels and anything that
it's all girls too, so
yeah.
Do you have anything?
No, I was just thinking, do y'all have a website?
We do.
Okay, just go ahead and say that one.
Spout that one out. Okay, it's www.gph for Gastonia Potter's House Recovery. So that's gphrecovery.com.
And y'all also take donations, right?
We do take donations. Yep,
Take
online
donations.
donations. We have, you can donate through PayPal or through Tidely.
That's your primary. That's how you're funded, right?
Yes, we
Is
don't
by
take,
donations.
we don't take any funds from the state. We're not state funded at all. So everything that comes in is from churches and private donors.
And y'all do
and we rely on the Lord for that.
And y'all do some other ways of raising money, like fundraising things during the year.
Yeah, we do. We have an awesome fundraiser that Covenant was a big part of last year, called The Amazing Race, and we usually do that in September of every year. And so we have a couple teams come together, and they end up doing games and different activities all over Gastonia. And it's just a way to kind of raise awareness about what we're doing, but also a day for community to come together and just love on each other and spend time together.
I'm just curious, what are some of the activities?
Oh man, we got some good ones. So we had a activity where it was kind of like that old Pepsi challenge, except you weren't drinking Pepsi. So you had 3 cups and you didn't know what were in them, and you had to drink and guess each one. And I think we had buttermilk in one, and we had like sardine juice in one, and then it was like some coconut milk.
Right.
Yeah. So they had to guess that.
Won't necessarily kill you, but it'll come close.
So we try to make it as fun as possible. We did one at the bowling alley where you had to hit a strike to move on, and we just go to different places.
Is there a way that somebody can volunteer at the Potter's House, or is it kind of closed off? I don't know because I guess
be careful.
Yeah.
So we're definitely open to volunteering. That there's some more information about that on the website as well. But we have actually Hannah that goes to church here started volunteering and teaches a class now at Potter's House, which is awesome. So we love to see churches get involved. We have women's groups that come in and they'll do game nights and dinner with the ladies. Anything. If you feel like God's put a calling on your life and you've prayed about it and said, man, I feel like he's leading me there, like, please call us up. We want to hear it, and we're willing, we're flexible, and love to work with the community and have people come in and mentor.
That's cool. So how do y'all track, I know the most disappointing parts are when girls will make it 3 months or 6 months or a year, and then they just split. How do y'all, first off, how you deal with that emotionally? Because I know you build relationships, but how do you track also people that have gone through all 18 months of the program? Do you have to track them, or do they keep up with you? I mean, do they keep reaching back, or what?
Yeah, they keep reaching back. We actually had a pretty good gathering about 2 weeks ago where some of the alumni came back, and everybody was together at a baby shower for one of the girls that has graduated and got married and had a baby.
That's awesome.
So a lot of times we see about 8 out of 10 girls that graduate are sober 1 year after when we follow up.
Wow.
And they stay. I mean, the majority of the girls that graduate stay connected in one way or another.
Well,
that's a good success story. That's way higher than any secular number would be. Yeah. They're more like 3 out of 10 or 2.
Yeah.
I can't remember the numbers, but it's crazy.
What are some ways, we're going to kind of switch back. This is something a little more fun we've been doing kind of at the end, just to hear some cool stories that you guys have. What are some ways that you've seen God work miracles, the position you guys are at now after you've done out the program or while you've worked there? Just tell us a cool story that you guys have.
Well, she brought her cool story with her.
Okay.
That's my cool story. In flesh. Yeah.
You don't have to name names. Just think of something radical, because I think the reason I think it's a good question is because I think people are moved by stories like yours. I mean, y'all came from relatively normal families. You said, you were in church every week.
Yeah.
Actually, you said 3 times a week,
Mhm.
which I'm sure you meant to say 3 times a week. But these are just normal people, that these aren't people. I don't know how you classify what a drug addict's going to look like or whatever, but it's just anybody can fall into addiction. So now think of one of those girls. If I think you don't have to say their name, but like some success story.
Yeah. I'm one that is just an awesome success to me and comes to mind. There's a girl that when she came into the program, she had a child and she was very honest about where she came from in addiction. Sat in the office and said, I don't have a mother's heart. I don't even know that I want to get my child from my mom. It's, that's easier. She's with my mom. She's good. I just don't have that heart. And we watched and ministered to her and begin to pray with her. God, give her the heart of a mother. God, give her that love, instill that in her, and show her that she's loved at the same time that she's loved immensely. She's your child. And he began to transform her heart, and her daughter began to come visit. It was small visits at first, once a month, and then that got to be more frequent. And by the time she graduated, her daughter was full time with her.
Wow.
On top of that, she was one of the ones that was the alumni last week. She was just, her and I were talking, and she was telling me just about how awesome it was to see the little girl and to be with her and be doing all these awesome things with her. And she said, man, I feel like he's pushing me towards adoption at some point. He said, I want to love on other little kids.
Wow.
I want to.
She didn't even want her
show
own.
them.
That's yours?
Yes,
Yeah.
I want to show them what it looks like to have a story like mine and show them what restoration looks like and that they are loved. And so to hear that from her, I thought, man, that's a miracle, really, in itself, to come from hearing somebody saying, I don't know that I want this at all, to not only do I want this and I love my child so much, but I want to love on other children.
That's unbelievable. Only Jesus.
Yeah.
Only Jesus can do that. So, what? You got one of those stories in your brain?
I was trying to think of like one specific. I mean,
I know all of
just
them. Just
all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so cool to be on the other side of it now. To see them, like, to work with them while they're coming in and they're so scared and they're so unsure, and they've, most of them are at the point where they've really lost everything. Like, no family, they've lost their kids, they've lost their car, they've lost their job, they've lost any material possessions that they might have. And then, just to see how the Lord restores, and not just restores what they had, just restores it in abundance. And, by the time they graduate, they have their children back. They have full-time jobs, with even like a rack of felonies. Like, the Lord like opens doors that no man can shut. And, they've saved up, they've bought a car. It's so cool to see. And that's like with everybody. That's
Right.
not just,
So
one
when they're living
person.
with you guys, they can like get a job somewhere in the community or something.
Mhm.
and
At
then-
9 months, they're allowed to start looking for outside employment.
Wow, y'all got that thing set up. What's a
Mhm.
typical day look like there then? Like worship, obviously, in the
A
morning.
typical day, it's very structured. It's very strict schedule. Is wake up 6:45, 7:15 chores, 8:30 praise and worship. At about 9:30, they either have a class or some type of teaching or sermon. And then we also have a cleaning ministry, and that's what helps, fund the ministry as well. So we do a lot of cleanings for residential and churches and stuff like that. And then we have classes throughout the day more, and then classes usually every night. And so they're constantly in the Word, and that was what helped me the most, was just somebody telling me, okay, like this is due on this day and you have to turn it in or there'll be a
It's like a
consequence.
teen challenge program in the sermon.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
really
It
much
is.
based
It's like a
that.
discipleship program.
Yeah.
In that
somewhat.
place.
It's like
That's
Bible
awesome.
boot camp.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah.
But see, it's something is different about this Bible boot camp than the one you grew up in, because you kind of
Yeah.
grew up in one too. But this one's, when you said relational, it's
Yeah.
like some people hearing this would think, "Oh my God, they get up at 7 o'clock, they gotta be there at 8:30. They gotta do these Bible studies." But y'all don't seem to be like oh my God, we got to do Bible studies. Y'all are like,
Mm-mm.
yay, we get to do Bible
Yeah.
studies.
And we had no structure. You know, when you're out there and you're living that life, you have no structure. You know, like she said, that you have like a one-track mind, and it's just, how am I going to survive today? That's it. So it's necessary to come into a place and just kind of lay
With
it
some
down and
order.
let other people just tell you kind of what to do
That's
for
cool.
a while.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
Was there like a moment, like when was the hardest point, like when you got there? So you got there at the Potter's house. Was there ever like a moment where you're just like, I just can't do this, and like Jesus was the thing that got you through?
Yeah. Multiple
All
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, really.
At
I
least
think-
once a week.
Yeah. Because I think when you get sober, you begin to deal with all that wreckage from your past.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
and the Holy Spirit is gracious and brings it back slowly. And he slowly brings you back into restoration. And so as these things come up in your mind though, like, oh man, this is what I did to this person, or this is how I treated this person, or this is what I messed up, you begin to have the opportunity to ask for forgiveness and to reconcile those things. And so, but that's hard. I mean,
Mhm.
that's really, really
Mhm.
hard in those moments to write somebody a letter. I remember the first time I did that when I wrote someone in my family a letter and asked for forgiveness, and I held on to the letter for like 3 days before I put it in the mail. Because I was like, oh, I could probably just see him and say I'm sorry. Like,
Mhm.
surely that would cover it, but it didn't. That's
Yeah.
not what the Holy Spirit was leading me to do.
Wow.
And I think as like we begin to take those small steps and he shows us, then he gives us a little bit bigger opportunity, and you begin to trust in him more and not in yourself.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Do you think like the amount of people using drugs is increasing, or do you think it's decreasing?
It's hard to say. I mean,
Yeah.
when you look about it, I would say increasing, but it's hard to say. I think that it goes through shifts though. Like you'll see like the opiates were a big thing, and then meth was a big thing. So I think there's different kind of
Right.
waves of what's being most used at a time.
And Brooke, when you were using, did you like have a job? Was everything just like a normal day, or?
For a while.
Yeah.
About 15 minutes.
Yeah.
A little bit longer. But,
Yeah.
you know, for a while, like I went to college for psychology and was working as a mental health therapist.
Where'd you
know,
go?
Radford University up in Virginia. So that's what I was doing. And then I got really bad off while I was working and ended up losing that job. So after I lost that first job, I really went off the deep end because I didn't like have to put on this facade every day anymore. And, you know, my thing was like IV heroin. So I remember I'd have to like put makeup all over my arms and, you know, go into work, and I didn't have to do that anymore. So that's really what got me started into not just the using world, but like the dealing world too. And that's when the arrests started coming.
But Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But
It's
God.
the
Which
best
reminds
thing.
me, like this guy told me a story last week, and must be on this show, The Chosen, or whatever. I mentioned it last week, you know, and I hadn't watched it yet. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but Jesus comes to Mary Magdalene, and she's been caught in all this. Mary that was caught in prostitution, you know, and they throw her down before him, and Jesus just redeems her. I mean, he does exactly the opposite of what everybody thought he was going to do. And somebody walks up to her, and I know this is a movie and it's a made up story, but it just touched something in me where this person asked, "Who was that guy?" And she said, "I don't know his name, but he redeemed me." You know, and there's something about the thought of being redeemed and loved like that by Jesus that just is so freeing, isn't it? And so tender and beautiful and shocking too, to some degree. So that's what I hear in y'all's story.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, and you do know his name is Jesus. Y'all know who he is, at least. He redeemed you. You know, he gave you a chance to start all over. And that's amazing to me. And I'm proud of both of you. You know, I know we just met, but I'm proud of you. And this girl right here, I fell in love with her heart and her family the first day I ever met her. And I love her little boys like they're my grandchildren, and her husband like he's a son, and her like a daughter. But we're proud of you too. We appreciate so much you willing to share the courage that it takes for you guys to share your story is amazing to me. So thank you. From us. So.
Yeah, and thanks for being here too. Just to share the story.
Share. Like you said, we were nervous, but it's so awesome because the Holy Spirit takes over. He does.
Yeah, it's nothing to be. I about fell out of my chair a while ago, so we're good. You know, it's like these chairs are like they got this. These I don't know what's wrong with them, but I was like sitting over talking a while ago. My chair was like. I look like you when you sat down earlier. You know. Anyway, that's not part of the podcast. Well, it is now. But.
Yeah. But guys, you guys heard it here. So the ways that you can support the Potter's House, like I said, you guys always are needing supplies. So if you need it at your house, they could probably use it, but 20 times more. Yeah. You can donate on their website. What was that again?
Yeah, it's gphrecovery.com.
And then if you want to help out with them, I guess just give you a call.
Yeah,
just give you guys
absolutely. If you'll give us a call, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
There's plenty of ways to get involved as a group or as an individual. We've got lots of opportunities.
Sweet. All right, guys. Thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.